Tumbling Through. Hello and welcome, everybody. My name's Marcus, and it's not Krefu opening this. This is Marcus, pronouns he, him, and welcome to our Society Check edition numero 2. As I said, my name's Marcus, pronouns he, him, and I am so happy to be joined by the entire table of Twilight's Edge for our second installment of Society Check. Our little talk back round where we take a peek behind the curtain. We step into the shadows of West Crown and learn what's happening above the table, behind the table, under the table, wherever it is around the table. As said, we have everyone here, so I'm just gonna go around the table in alphabetical order, as we're used to at this point, to give people a chance to introduce themselves. Starting off with, if my alphabet is correct, we would start off with Ida.
Hi, my name is Aida. My pronouns are she and her. When I am playing at the wonderful table and story we are creating, I usually pilot Sombra, who is the Kyle Monker. Sombra's pronouns are she and they. I am a Latina woman of color. I am based in the Netherlands. I'm an immigrant here in Europe. And it's been a hot minute, but I'm so happy that Pathfinder 2 is my regular, most played game nowadays.
Yay! So glad to hear that you're also enjoying it. Anna.
Hi, I am Anna. I use they them pronouns, and usually when I'm playing, I am piloting Lowen, who uses he they pronouns, a hellspawn Nephilim wizard. I am also based in Netherlands, and I don't know what else to say. I love it at this table. I love it here. I enjoy it here. That's it.
Amazing. And then here to change the alphabetical order a little, Krefu. Hello.
Yeah, we bring in the C. Hi, everyone. I'm Krefu. My pronouns are he, him. I am a cis gay white guy based in Germany, and I'm usually, always, the GM for the Twilight's Edge campaign here on the Tumble Through podcast. Pronouns he, him. Did I say that? I'm saying it again. I feel like I've been playing too much Pathfinder lately, to be completely honest. So I have a game in the next few weeks where I'm playing some Monster Hearts. So I'm very excited to step away and break out of the genre a little bit. But I'm also really proud of wrapping up this first season and very excited for what the next season has to hold.
Ooh, ominous. Evan.
Super ominous foreshadowing. Good, everyone. I'm Evan, pronouns he, him. And when we're playing in our little podcast, I play Nico, our Rainfall Druid. I'm from Aotearoa, New Zealand, of Māori descent, and I live in the UK. And I like Pathfinder more than I used to.
Wow.
You know what?
That is
I
growth.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah, that is growth.
Yeah.
Come on. But I like to system around. So yeah, I'm not exclusive.
You don't have to be.
Right?
And then
Happy Pride Month.
And then last but not least, Pan.
Hi, I'm Pan, pronouns he, they, she. I play when we are playing Flint, the ruffian kobold rogue. Like Evan, Pathfinder's 2e, specifically 2e, has been pleasant to get into, but certainly has taken some time for me to really get my claws into it. I am very glad we aren't playing Pathfinder 1e, because I tried a game of that a little while ago, and
That's diplomatic.
that's
It was my first ever tabletop game, Pathfinder 1e,
Yeah.
so I'm surprised I'm still here.
Yeah, my buddies I played with before you listened to this, so Pathfinder 1e, it's... God, sorry, I had to cough there. Anyway, Pathfinder 2e is also good.
Yeah, 2e is good.
I like 2e, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I think Evan and I are in the same boat.
We all mentioned what characters we play. Marcus, you're just the MC?
Oh, usually when I'm not usurping the emceeing role from Krefu, I am playing Zakun, also pronounced he, him, the Grave Orc Oracle of the group. But I will not be doing that today. Today I will be your MC for this episode of the Society Check. Before we lift the curtains and delve into the secrets of what we do beyond the recordings, a brief heads up. First, a little warning for the potential spoilers that you might encounter here. And after that, we want to do a little shout out as well. I will hand it over to Krifu after that. But before that, if you're listening to this episode of Society Check and you have not yet listened up to and including episode 29, you are in the spoiler zone now. We will be talking spoilers up to and including episode 29. That covers the entire first book of our game. So if you haven't caught up yet, thank you very much for being here, but I would suggest that you go listen first to those episodes. If you don't care about spoilers, please stick around, listen to us. I'm not your boss. You can do what you want with your life.
That said, can we have like a cool sound effect for like spoiler zone or something?
Yes.
To really nail down.
Just
Give him make your face. I'll do it.
give him reverb.
Exactly. I will be sharp on those spoilers. I will be shooting them down so we can keep them out.
Right.
Also, we want to use this chance to shout out a little data about our listeners. Krifu, what do the spreadsheets say?
Gotcha.
Data.
Data?
Yes, the numbers.
Well,
Tomato.
it's very cool. We have many different countries that have tuned in to our little show. 29 episodes is no small feat. Just hearing that said out loud is, whoa, okay, we've
Clap
really
on our
done
backs for
something.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did good.
Hell yeah.
I think it's no surprise that 45% of our listeners, so almost half of them, are in the U.S. The U.S. is just massive, and this is an English-speaking show, and the primary language there is English. So I want to shout out the top 3 states from which our listeners are from. First off, Illinois.
What?
Yes.
Cool.
So,
Hi, Illinois.
Hi, Illinois.
How's that corn?
Is that what they have?
Is that what's
there?
famous about
Let's
Illinois?
be specific. It's
Corn?
the suburbs of Chicago that are listening.
Oh.
I reiterate, how's that
Well,
corn?
they got CM Punk. They got the new Pope. There's a lot going on in Chicago.
The second state is Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
St. Paul, Minneapolis, and I specifically want to shout out Eden Prairie, where I used to live as a kid.
Oh.
Actually,
Whoa.
I spent a couple years in Minnesota in middle school.
Is mom listening? Is that what it is?
No,
Tell her, mates.
mom lives here in
Oh,
Germany.
okay.
And the third state, which has nothing to do with me, because none of my friends or relatives in Texas have listened to the show, but Texas is number 3. Specifically, Fort Worth, Dallas. So hello, Fort Worth, Dallas.
Hello.
Hi, Fort Worth.
Hi, Fort Worth.
We apologize for that one episode where we just tried a southern accent after it kind of fell out of Krifu's mouth.
I want to encourage our Houstonite
apologize.
listeners to try and spread the word so that we can beat Dallas. Because if you're not from Dallas or Houston, you don't understand that there is a secret competition.
Is it
between
beef? Is it rivalry there?
And if you're from
Wow.
New York, please listen in more because we're the center of the universe.
It's true. I will say New York's number 4.
New Yorkers.
Where's California? Come on.
Number 5.
All right.
San Francisco, specifically. UK, number 2.
Makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
English
yeah.
speaking.
They understand us over there.
We have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of friends in England who listen to the show.
Support us. Thank you so much, friend.
Scotland could do better. Only one person has listened. So
Wow, just casually shaming Scotland.
Fix up Scotland.
Way to lose Scotland, man.
We just got done
Scotland, I love
apologizing
you.
for the accent, for the Texan accent. They're
It's
like,
true, it's
Scotland,
true.
do better.
Wales,
know what?
you're all right. Wales is all right.
I'm gonna introduce some Iron Brew. That's what Kills love. Iron
Yes,
Brew. That'll
Iron
get Scottish on
Brew.
board. That'll get them on
Yes.
board.
Number 3 is Germany.
Sehr gut. Hallo, Hallo Deutschland.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, the number 1 province in Germany is Hessen, which is where I live. That is presumably people I know. Presumably.
Well, that's good. It's cool people who are listening to it though. Honestly, like
Yeah.
most people I
Yeah.
know when I talk about my podcasting, they're like, "Please shut up." So it works out really nicely.
Yeah. And following in the trend, number 4 is, of course, the Netherlands.
Oh, yeah.
Uitstekend. Hallo Nederland.
Get
Welkom in het programma.
It feels like
How do you
Eurovision.
say what's up in
Iets grote
Danish?
woorden, alsjeblieft.
Netherlands,
just what's up?
12 points.
Yeah, what's up? Hey, what's up?
Hello? I don't know. It's not really a WhatsApp version.
Oh, is that
I
not WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Just hoe gaat het, I guess.
hoe
That's
gaat
just
het?
how are you, yeah.
Wait, two carted?
Yeah, something
Okay.
like
All right. We just
And the
lost all the
Netherlands,
listeners.
the Netherlands awards Tumble Through with 12 listeners.
No, and I'm happy to say that everyone at our Tumble Through table has been indoctrinated into the Church of Stroopwafel.
Sure.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
missed out on stroopwafels on the weekend.
I think we can attribute the rise of Dutch listeners to us being at RinCon, and I ran some games. We
Oh,
passed out
yes.
some stuff.
Shout out to Rincon.
Shout out
To
to
Roll
RinCon.
Initiative Con.
Yes, Roll Initiative Con in Avik.
Evike.
Avike.
Yeah, that's.
I want to
me.
make it out there. Maybe next year.
Yes.
It's a wonderful, small con, but very wonderful, very welcoming.
Yeah.
Would recommend it to
I
everyone.
want to go.
Number 5 is Canada. Someone was asking
Yes,
if Canada
let's
was
go
on.
Canada.
Canada.
The perfect blend
Canada.
between Europe and America. American sensibilities with the metric system. And honorable mentions to our friends in Ireland and Spain. I know we have regular listeners there who regularly comment on posts and whatnot. We're very happy to have you here, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Wow, we're international. That's so cool.
Yeah, no matter where you're from, no matter where you're listening, thank you very much. If you're tuning into the show, coming back week after week, thank you so much. We
Yes.
really appreciate it. We appreciate the comments on social medias, people interacting with it, leaving their feedback. It's so cool to not just make this story with everyone here at the table together, but also then see that people are engaging with it, listening to it, and are having fun with it. So big thank you to everyone who listens.
Yeah.
I love reading comments. It's my favorite part of what we do.
Thank you for the numbers, Krifu. Now, Westcrony, the people of West Crown, our concerned citizens, we are going to talk about a few things that happened during Book 1 of Council of Thieves. Just as a brief reminder of a bit of an outline of what happened in these past 29 episodes, here's a very brief recap. Drawn together by the strands of fate, 5 strangers find themselves on the run from rampaging Hell Knights. They must work together to survive the labyrinthine sewer complex under the city to get to the Shrine of Eridan, a safe house for a group of concerned citizens who have been targeted by the Order of the Rack for rebellious activities. After a night of consideration, the newly bonded party opts in to ambush a Hell Knight prisoner escort outside the city walls and rescue its prisoners. But rest isn't in the cards just yet. Spurred on by their own individual motivations, the group decides to take on the Bastards of Erebus, a gang of hellspawn terrifying and murdering innocent citizens on the border of the city's ruinous dead sector. The Bastards don't make it easy for them, but they are eventually able to bring the criminals to justice. Still, the potential involvement of the mythical Council of Thieves hangs over this success, like an ominous miasma. A lot happened in these first 29 sessions, but I've prepared a few questions I want us to focus on, to talk about. And I have the first one to already throw at all of us. In these very first 29 sessions, we had quite some freedom in planning out how we want to approach encounters. There was, for example, our battle at the bridge, where we had some planning in how to set it up, actually plan who would be holding what basically was a kind of grenade to be used in an emergency. We had the entire infiltration of the Bastard hideout. So a lot of freedom in how we approached the fights we would be tackling. And I wonder, how do people at the table feel about the chance to be able to plan ahead to encounters, to be a bit more aware? And how do we also feel about the execution of our plans that we came up with?
I quite liked that we had a little bit of intel before going in. So we knew approximate numbers, we knew the path. This is for the bridge battle, by the way.
Mhm.
And we knew the kind of forces that we would face. We knew that there was going to be a large gun on top of the carriage, and there was possibility that there was going to be a spellcaster as well. We had some good planning time, which I thought was good. I don't think we'll get that all the time, but that was I like that. It made us, and that was like our first proper battle, wasn't it? Or no, we had battles in the sewers. Yeah, but that was a good one, and I think I was certainly with Nico still in the early stages of figuring out what works and what doesn't work. So yeah, I thought that was good. That was nice to have that intel.
Nico ate out an entire crossbow bolt from that giant
Yeah.
mounted
Yeah.
on the cart.
Yeah, it screamed and then hid under the bridge.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I forgot about
I
that.
did enjoy all the careful planning, only to be bookended by Lowen going, "I have a bomb, by the way."
See, that's the thing I was gonna say, because I'm very bad at planning, because I'm someone who kind of like loses the overview very quickly in a situation. So I'm much better at if you drop me in a combat, figuring out on the spot what to do, because then I can see what's happening around me. So whenever there's planning, I'm just sort of sitting back and listening. And I remember y'all were planning, I looked in my inventory, I was like, oh, there's a bomb in there. And then I just pull it out.
That's super
and
handy though. It
worked
came in really
pretty well.
clutch.
Yeah, it was, but I'm usually, on one hand, it is nice to have some time to think about what to do, but I usually find that whatever, at least I plan, doesn't usually work, or like some part of it gets wiped. While it is good to have a plan, I am much better at just figuring out on the spot what to do and how to react to things.
I think in previous games, not this campaign specifically, in my early TTRPG days, I was am currently still a bit of a control freak, extra cautious, etc., etc. This is my first long-term foray into playing a frontliner. So it's kind of a bit refreshing to be like, yeah, a plan might be the plan, but it's never going to be entirely safe because I know I have to march my character to the front and adapt at the situation. So this was a really rare and refreshing instance where at the end, we had an outline of a plan, and in the end, if I recall, that plan sort of held. Because a lot of times, and a personal beef of mine is, you plan and plan and plan and plan, and at the encounter, none of it happens. It all goes to shit. What did we spend 3 hours talking about when in-game it was 10 minutes? Why?
But also, to help the plan, and also better than a bomb, is having a Sombra.
Oh, that was fun.
Just went through and just melted people, just like smash, smash, smash. And you were like, and that's my
First action.
my first action.
I took out 3 combatants in one turn, I think.
Well, let's not forget there also then the usefulness of the Sombra Flint combo in taking out the Watchman in the Bastard Hideout. That was also some good utilization of
that was
skills
epic.
of the characters.
Strike Team Flimbra.
Exactly.
Right. Flimbra?
Slunt.
Workshopping. But we were finally not in cramped sewers. And after having all this practice in the sewers, this was a very good example of the party coming together mechanically. Like the value of support, the value of distractions, the value of strategically retreating.
Well, because I will call out that I don't think there was any communication between you all when we were creating these characters. And so no one really knew what was being brought, mechanically speaking, to the table. So we did need those sewer combats to learn each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. And that makes me also wonder, Krifu, we're talking about these planning for these encounters from our player's perspective. But from your GM perspective, how did these encounters feel now that you've given us as players and our characters the chance and sometimes even additional information to prepare for them? How did that feel for you as a GM to run these encounters then?
I don't think I did anything extra.
Okay.
That wasn't suggested or recommended in the book. For that in the Council of Thieves adventure path, which is where this adventure comes from. In case you didn't know that by now, specifically the ambush on the bridge ambush, the adventure really outlines. Let the players plan and give them the intel they need. When we come to the Bastard's Lair, it started off with the scouting mission from Battle Roach.
I love Battle Roach. I know it was like I'm sorry. I loved it so much. It was like
Yeah.
such a great moment for Nico to just be like, "Yeah, hang on, wait here a second." And then just like the most gross transformation.
It was a disgusting transformation.
We
I
won't be
loved it so
seeing
much.
was so
Battle Roach
handy.
anytime soon, I don't think. 'Cause
No,
Nico's...
but I also think taking up a lot of the scene with Battle Roach, I felt a little bit guilty about that as well. So
It was good for the time. And that situation. I don't know if there are going to be situations where a scouting head will be helpful.
Yeah.
But in this particular instance, it was immensely helpful.
Right. Yeah, and that provided a lot of information indeed as well. We did have chances to make plans, but we all know what they say about the best laid plans. And we did have also moments in these sessions where we had to retreat. We had quite a moment where we had our first foray, our first go at the Lair of the Bastards, where we ended up retreating with the party and coming back to fight another day. How do all of you feel about retreating in a TTRPG? And is there to you any kind of difference between if the player characters do it and if NPCs/enemies do it?
I am a big fan of retreating when it makes sense. I don't believe in fighting until the death when it doesn't make sense. Like if it's a final battle, sure, but like if it's not like if it's not like that big I mean it is I guess a big battle it's because it's the end of the chapter, but I think it's silly to fight a fight that you're going to lose when you could easily retreat and try and come back. That being said, if there's a difference between PCs and NPCs flee, I mean when NPCs flee, it's easier for us, I guess. But I feel like it also has to make sense, and that's like, if NPCs flee, it doesn't really make sense. It can feel like it's not really rewarding in a sense. But yeah, I personally don't have anything against it if it makes sense for the narrative and the story we're trying to tell.
I don't disagree with that, but when I see an NPC fleeing or enemy combatants fleeing, I'm like, no XP, come back. Come back, XP, come back. Because we've played quite a hot number of sessions, and we are currently level 3.
I think we're milestoning though, right?
So-
We're not like.
No, friend.
XP.
So I see a skeleton dog around. I'm like, come back, XP.
No, but
No.
you're getting XP for defeating. They're still defeated. You don't have to kill to get XP.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, noted.
okay, making a note.
Maybe you're missing out on like gold that they might be carrying.
Go, come back.
And of course, in a dungeon situation,
Healing
a fleeing
potions come
enemy
back.
means potentially more enemies coming.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I am personally a big fan when I run Pathfinder, and for the listeners here, I have a home game that I also run where I run Abomination Vault, which is basically a mega dungeon in Pathfinder. So we've had multiple occasions where exactly what Krifu mentioned happened, where some of the enemies fled from combat with the player characters, but that then started to cascade into drawing more and more danger into it. And from that experience, that's one of the reasons why I personally enjoy when NPCs flee from a fight, because it adds a potential complication to the fight. But on the other hand, I'm going to use the dreaded word immersion here. It is really good for my immersion when I see, especially like intelligent enemies, realize that they're in over their head, that they might not want to die here to a random group of a kobold, 2 orcs, a Nephilim, and a fetchling, and that they run away. I do like this, especially with intelligent enemies, that they fall back or at least try to flee.
I will
It
say,
makes sense.
in the last fight with Palavine, I found that frustrating because it no longer. You go back to your word immersion. To me, as a GM, it made sense for Palavine to be like, hell no, I gotta get out of here. Survival instinct kicks in.
Right.
And I had those spells, that sanctuary spell.
Right.
But
That messed us up. That
Yeah,
messed
that
us
was
up so
awful.
it made it
bad.
really hard to capture him. But we spent
Yeah.
2 full rounds, which takes a while in real life, trying to capture him and get a hold of him, and it just wasn't it's super dynamic and interesting, at least for me in the moment, I think. Maybe because we also ran late that night, so we were also tired. Number of things.
For me personally, like especially in the first battle with the bastards, I felt terrible because Flint went down, and that's when everyone was like, "We should get out of here." I'm like, "Oh shit, I've let everyone down by miscalculating." And also, as mentioned, some enemies are going to just like leave. The dogs ran away. You can't fault that. It made sense. They run away.
Scrappy
with it,
came back.
Scrappy. The return of Scrappy.
Bow, wow, 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 wow.
No, it was Scrappy was a normal dog.
Pan, you mentioned Flint going down in that one first foray to the bastards. That was just the beginning of a cascade of encountering. Let me put it mildly, with us getting introduced to the deadlier side of Pathfinder. I think one of the things that especially lower level Pathfinder can sometimes surprise people with is that it can be very deadly. That based on one bad roll, suddenly one of the characters is near to actual death. And there's not really any kind of accessible tools or magic to bring someone back from death at that level. Which events that we had so far in our 29 episodes have highlighted for you how deadly this game can be at this level?
Persistent damage. Persistent damage. Persistent damage. Persistent damage. This is Ida. God damn. Persistent damage.
Someone being so desperate to not be covered in ashes for like half an hour is here going, "What do we do, guys? What do we do?"
It was so bad. I was like, how is it not coming off?
To refresh the memory, there was a fight with Oasku and King Waichin's peoples, and Oasku had thrown a vial of acid at Sombra, and she was taking persistent damage. And in order to clear that, Sombra had to roll a flat DC 15 check. I could not roll above a 15
It was
for
so
half
bad.
an hour.
That was the same with Nico in that final battle as well. It was there was some persistent damage there.
Yeah.
And I was being so blasé about it, and it was just like la la la. And then I was like, I'm on 5 hit points. I'm about to die. And I was like, what the hell?
I remember you being so calm and like, do you realize what is happening?
I didn't.
I'd also like to highlight being intentional, how our PCs sleep, whether they're in pajamas or in their armor.
Exhaustion was bad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have that problem if you don't have armor.
You know what? I forgot to mention. Just Zaku nearly killing Flint by trying to heal them.
The failed medicine check.
I will say,
Crit fails.
that entire scene is in my memory bank as both at the same time super hilarious to me, but also in character for Zekun, like an absolute low point in character. And for me as a player, I was like, this is legit funny because I'm the medic of the group and I'm almost killing Flint here. But I was like, no. Zekun, this is like one of the worst things that can happen to Zekun, to his self-esteem, to his view of him as a person. And I was like, okay, we're going to capitalize on that. We're going to bring that into the RP. But it was great. I loved it. And it's I think everyone who has played Pathfinder at lower levels will recognize that failed treat wounds check causing complications. It's something that every low-level Pathfinder player recognizes.
I think something that might be just a me issue is that I have found that a lot of dog-like creatures are really deadly. Like, even in, like, my prologue, and then in a bunch of battles, the most damage I got was from those, like canines. And I'm like, why is it... like, I don't know what it is with Lowen and canines, but they get the most damage from them.
I think it might be because it's multiple people, multiple creatures, and flanking or prone as well. Because once you're prone and you've got multiple creatures around you, they're just getting... It's so easy for them to hit or crit. It's a bad time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think also like sometimes they have like abilities or features that also make it worse, or like
Pack
that
tactics.
tack on.
But Lowen is squishy AF.
Oh yeah, Lowen. Yeah, but that's the thing. Lowen's really squishy, but hasn't caught I think much like bigger damage from like other like NPCs.
Yeah.
It's been mostly the canines that've been hurting them the most.
Have you ever tried to fight a dog IRL? They can be really dangerous. So it's
I wouldn't fight a dog.
True. Yeah, but someone flinging like a fireball at you is also
That's true.
pretty
That's
dangerous.
true.
Like, you know, like
No, and let's not forget that Sombra was one shot by a power attack in our first
Oh,
combat.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah.
That power
And that
attack was horrifying.
Yes.
Like, oh, I'm going to play a frontliner. I'm going to stand in front and protect.
That was our first fight.
That was
our
it
first
that
fight.
was the very first
was.
fight.
The very
Yeah.
first. And at the end of the fight, Samra got up and did enough damage to just outright kill him on a critical on a nat 20 roll as well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But damn, swingy.
That showed how swingy that first level is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We had our ups and downs there. I think it's also good that we got to see the deadlier side of the system. It really makes you aware of things. And
Hey y'all, play Pathfinder too.
it's, look,
I love it. Yeah.
exactly. But we have talked a lot about a little bit of the crunchy side of the game, the rules element, what we liked about that, how we encountered it. How about we move to a bit more fluffier topics? Let's talk about the setting. Let's talk about the characters for these past 29 episodes. We've been playing in West Crown, in case our listeners haven't noticed that we are in the city of West Crown in the nation of Cheliax. And we've been dealing with lots of different characters there, have seen lots of different sections of the city as well. And from what we've seen of West Crown so far, for you as players, are there any parts, places in the city that have felt really alive or interesting to you in a way that you're like, every time that we go to that part or to that element of the city, you're like, fuck yeah, we're going to something that I really like about the city?
I want to get in first. I want to see the Arboretum
Arboretum.
before anyone else says it, because I'm like, I love the Arboretum. That's it. I got that one first.
Yeah, it's great.
I love how it's
Yeah.
building as well over time as we're going every time. It's a bit different each time.
Yeah, I think the thing that I enjoy, because I've been really reading up on like Cheliax and West Crown to the point that I had to stop myself before it became some kind of obsession. But one thing I really like that we've not been to yet is the Dusk Market. I love the concept of it so much. I think it's such a, like, I can't explain, but it makes the city feel alive. The way that like it's organized with like the sort of the schedule based on, I think, the lunar cycle and stuff like that. I love little things like that that are more like secret or beneath the surface, because to me that makes it feel more alive. And I really hope we get there at some point. I want to see it.
Absolutely.
I also love the Arboretum. I think, of course, being the druid of the party with the Leshies. But one of my favorite places is the Pleat. It's playing an orc, but from a different culture to Zekun's hold. It just feels alive. It feels like it's got so much energy in the Pleat, and there's so many strong characters in there. I really like it. I think it's a great place. And the fact that it's built on a prison that's been rehomed and resettled for this other tribe, so the hold of orcs. Yeah, so cool.
Yeah, and when Krifu pitched that to me, like, hey, we can put these orcs in what used to be a prison, I was immediately sold. That was a really cool idea.
It's not a place we've really spent a lot of time in, but it's nonetheless pivotal and highlights how intersecting threads meet. But that goddamn bar we all eventually ended up in. There's that one little unassuming bar, and you have concerned citizens, potential rebels. You have swords for hire. You have dark alleyway information slingers. You have representatives of the local authorities. You have people batting eyelashes at eyelashes.
Little romantic corner booth for first drinks.
Yeah.
And that sort of just, to me, spoke at how alive West Crown as a city, how many different undercurrents there are. And it's not location specific, but I think it's just overall, to me, standard, but thus good GMing, that there is guidance to saying, okay, here's your here you're going to have a character, here's the world. How is your character connected to the world? What alliances, what factions, what other NPCs are you bringing to the story that fit into this already existing jigsaw with your own flavors and spin? And they're not location specific, but all of us have very deeply plug-ins into the greater world, and most of us specifically to West Crown.
Right.
I think Also, what I like is that West Crown, but obviously Chiliax as a whole, has this reputation of being, like it's like a devil worshipping place, and like people from Chiliax and West Crown, I mean West Crown specifically because of its history, have a lot of issues and like to do with like pride or like trying to get higher up and like, but I also like that our show really highlights that even in a country that's like highly controlled and that there's a lot of issues, there are just people living their lives, and there are just people who are born and raised here and who are just trying to get by and just trying to, I guess, exist. And I really like that we get to see that aspect, because I think a lot of people who have heard about Chiliax and have not played in it have maybe an opinion on it, which makes sense, but I feel like our show does a good job at highlighting like what life is actually like and what it can look like.
That's why I'm such a big fan of like these additions that we've made to Chiliac, to West Crown specifically, the Arboretum, the Pleat, other places that like it really shows like there is good here. There's people who want to live here and exist here, even in a place like West Crown.
Well, I want to highlight that most of everything here that's been listed are things we've added personally into the space, which is, of course, perfectly fine. When this adventure first came out, 2006, 2007, it was probably the third or fourth adventure from Paizo ever published. And so, of course, the lore was not as heavily established as it is today. But also, we had to somehow make accommodations for second edition and the remaster. We had to figure out, okay, Leshies and Orcs are now common ancestries. These people aren't even mentioned in the adventure path. So how do they fit here? Why are they common in West Crown? And so creating these neighborhoods where we can populate with these folks, it makes things a lot easier. I also think I understand and appreciate why we might be giving a good representation of Cheliax, but I want to say West Crown is the exception to the rest of the country.
Right.
Because West Crown is the place where you send everything you don't want to look at, basically.
Yeah.
And so that's why, there is some leeway in the way things run. I mean, also in the remaster, Cheliax has kind of lightened up, shall we say, just because of political situations. So that also has something to do with it. There's no longer a curfew. You're not going to get in trouble for being out at night, which is something I've added in. But that's just because you'll probably get killed by shadow monsters. So why waste guards on making sure people aren't breaking curfews?
Yeah. But I think it also really reflects like the real world, how there are many countries where where the government or political stuff is really bad, but there's normal people living there. And I think that's a good thing to highlight. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of leeway in West Crown.
Yeah.
That's fun too.
And the way that the city is described in this adventure is that West Crown, you once were proud to be Wizcrani. Before the whole devil worshipping thing, people expected Eridan, the god of prophecy, to come down from the heavens and land here personally, and then he died. But so there was a lot of history built up behind that, a lot of colonial history as well, which we will begin exploring in season 2. That sort of honor and pride that we see in the Wizcrani people here, these values to sort of uphold goodness, if we were still using an alignment system, only here because of that history. And that's why West Crown has such a duality and a tug and pull between the past and its infernal present.
That is a really good way to summarize it, and I think also really highlights one of my favorite things that we do in this game. So also if you're listening to our game, and you ever are concerned of like making changes to an established setting like Golarion, change things that you want to change things that make the world more interesting for your group, that adapt the world to whatever your group needs, and it will pay off. It definitely is paying off for us here.
I mean, I've straight up changed the timeline.
Yeah.
Like, I've moved historical events around so that our setting will work properly.
We've also adapted certain historical events due to inclusivity and safety and comfort concerns.
Exactly. And that makes the game all the more better for everyone at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that makes the game so good at this table are the characters that we have in the party. And we've already talked in the previous society check about our characters for a bit. But I want to briefly, on this society check, talk about our character-specific narratives that we all bring. Because I think what has been shown in these past 29 episodes is that every character in this party has a bit of their own little backstory. We all have our own baggage. We all have a past. And we bring story elements into the story. But at the same time, we're playing an adventure path. There's an overarching narrative. And I'm wondering, how do we feel about, in this game so far, the balance between focusing on our player character specific narratives and overarching narrative of the campaign? And I do want to remind the players before they answer, at the moment that we're recording this, we have already recorded some vignettes, which will be released after this episode, which are little beautiful, sad, and funny interactions between some of our characters where we show more of our characters, but people listening to this right now have not heard these yet. So in your answer to this question, keep that in mind. And how do you think do we find this balance between this PC-specific narratives and the overarching campaign narrative?
I think for me personally, making Flint part of the Tari and therefore tying them to West Crown makes it easy for me to like follow along with the story rather than like worrying too much about like Flint's personal one, because his personal story is intrinsically tied with the story of West Crown, what goes on there. So I'm fine with the way it goes so far. For Flint, it's a lot of what happens in the city is his business, his problem, if you will.
Right.
Yeah, I think for Lowen, at least, it helps that he has not really talked about anything related to him as a person. So, yeah, I think that's not really been an issue per se, but I do like that we get to catch little glimpses of different characters, like PC's like moments. For example, the talk between Sombra and Sekun where they reveal some, or, Flint interacting with his sister, Nico and Viti. So, and then these are really sort of, in my eyes, really smaller bits in the middle of the plot. So I feel like we're balancing it pretty well from my point of view. But yeah, I don't know anything specific about my PC because, yeah, that's not really been a thing yet.
I think with Nico, he's been he might come across as quite naive to the workings of the city. He's very positive, kind of happy-go-lucky, and is quite focused on a lot of the community, having a positive community and building that. And then it was only through his relationship with Vidi that he's been drawn into this mess and met these people who could do these incredible things. But seeing that, I guess it's opened his eyes a bit to what's going on, the bigger picture of what's going on with West Crown. And I think that sort of has been tying him in to a story that's bigger than himself and bigger than just the small happy communities.
From your GM perspective, Krifu, how do you feel about this? How do you see this?
It's hard to say. Of course, we have a 6-book adventure path in front of us, and it is my job to push the story forward. I mean, of course, everyone has responsibility to do that, but we also do want to make sure we give time for character development and getting to know the characters, and not just go here, fight, go there, fight, make a skill check, etc. That doesn't really make for good podcast entertainment. So I think I've had to just temper my own excitement for what's coming up, because of course I know what is coming up. And sometimes I just want to go, okay, stop role playing and let's move on so that we can get to this really cool thing that's going to happen.
I think it's like a slow burn, isn't it? It's a bit of a slow burn.
Yeah.
I think this first book, we're just getting to know each other and our abilities.
You
and
could call this first book the prologue to the whole story.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't even have a party name.
There's
I
no
don't
need
think
for one yet.
Lowen wants one. I think that's the thing. What I have noticed, though, I think at the very end is that like I think there was two instances where Lowen in battle came to help someone with a potion, which is growth, I guess.
Yeah,
At least
that's something I wanted to mention, actually. I brought in Sombra as this person who is intrinsically linked with a lot of the things that happen in West Crown. And one would imagine in the storytelling sense that such people with experiences have a strong sense of justice, are going to rise to be the hero. I got the feeling, Sombra especially, that not all of our characters were our hero material. And I think we've been very careful not to label our characters initially so far as heroes
certainly.
or friends up to this point that we're recording right now.
We just about to get party going.
We have party and we have thing, and Sombra definitely had the background of like, I've been burnt emotionally, literally, physiologically, and I'm just gonna sit in a corner and brood. But because West Crown is going to West Crown and things are constantly gonna happen, I think that's the mark of whether Sombra likes to hear or not, whether our people like to hear or not, some people more than others. When you see someone innocent or someone who means well in those situations, I'm happy to say that our characters are jumping to act, as contrary as that might be to their initial beginner selves that we first saw. And I think that also spreads a bit of message that there is hope for West Crown in the end, because historically we're not too far off from quote unquote hopeful things and big changes happening for West Crown that actually allow breathing room for the populace. Certain decrees and laws have recently been passed canonically that are supposed to loosen things up. They're supposed to quote unquote improve people for the quote unquote common people. Is that real? To be determined. Is are the native West Crowny people in the party believing it? Not always.
I also think the vignettes will open up, will highlight
Definitely.
a lot more.
You guys listening to this now, just you wait till next week. It's gonna be
Just you
It's
wait.
gonna be so good.
You're in for a treat. You're in for a treat. Yeah, it's amazing. I love that, like, in the beginning when we started playing this, we were, I think, all very worried about, like, how are we going to get all of these people together and stay together, because we're all so different.
Yeah.
And then I think now, like, we've gone to the point, especially with the vignettes, where we realize, okay, there is some kind of common goal and they can find common ground. Even, like, if everyone has their own kind of agenda. For example, Lowen's mostly currently helping because they like information. And at the end of episode 29, there was information to be found. And then everyone has their own kind of goal, but everyone in the party is useful to work with together, and that we work well as a group.
What a softie.
He will never admit it. Yeah.
You absolutely have something to look forward to in the vignettes coming out. And I am also really happy to see over these past episodes how also the party has already established from just this ragtag, thrown together bunch of adventurers, and slowly is turning into, well, a semblance of friendship, perhaps? Well, wait for the vignettes. You're going to find out more on that. Unfortunately, I have a bit of bad news for all of you. We're closing in towards the end of our society check here. But before we're heading out, I have two more questions. One is specifically for Krifu, because this time we have our GM here for a society check. And in case the listeners didn't know yet, Krifu does not just GM this game. He also produces and edits the episodes, makes sure that they come out as nicely as they come out, makes sure they get uploaded,
Krifu.
makes sure that the promo that we had...
For sure.
Krifu does a lot.
Yep.
And as you already heard from my fellow players, thank you very much for doing all of that.
MVP.
But I come with more than just flowers. I come with a question. How does it feel for you to be not just a GM, but basically exist in this triangle between GMing, producing, and editing a podcast? How does that impact your experience of the game? And perhaps even how does that impact your experience of TTRPGs in general?
Well, I want to first shout out Anna for creating all of our graphics and our logos. Because without those, we wouldn't have I wouldn't have anything to promo.
Yeah.
It's an honor.
And it's a major help. You have a skill, so thank you for that.
Of course.
Yeah, I'll pat myself on the back. I'm really proud for keeping up with a weekly release schedule. I know when we first started, we talked about doing bi-weekly, which probably would have been easier. But as a listener of Pathfinder podcast actual plays, I know that weekly is just so much better to listen to and to tune in every week. I will say it's really nice as a GM to have these recordings and to spend 3 to 4 hours a week editing an episode, which is one half of our weekly sessions, by the way. We typically record 2 episodes a week. Because I can go back and re-listen and remember specific plots and characters and take note of how players are interacting with one another or characters are interacting with one another. I don't necessarily know if that's informing my GMing style as we move forward. I think I do a lot of laissez-faire stuff most of the time, where I let you all just interact with one another, Sim style, and then I make things happen on the side.
Yeah, we're the Sims. That's it.
Wop wop,
great
practice active.
Yeah, let's just do one of our role playing like
Just
wobble,
screaming
wobble,
while
blobble,
the stove
blobble.
is on fire.
I can't get out of the pool.
Yeah.
But I will say, editing our episodes have made me really fall in love with this table. And there are times where I'm just laughing out loud by myself while editing and taking note of things. And it's nice to be able to listen back and like the stuff we're doing. I don't think we would have gotten this far if none of us liked doing this.
Yeah, for sure. Like I listen every Tuesday. Like I'm always like,
Yeah.
I gotta commute, so I bang it on, and I'm like, this is great. Plus, I do love the work you do with the edits and things. I think we had 4 different bad pun noises this week.
In this last one. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are also times where Pan will say, put this sound effect in, and then I go and I'm like, okay, I'll just put this sound
Fun.
effect in.
I'm just more work, but it's fun to do.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I also love the little post credit thing.
Yeah.
when
Oh,
we're fading
yeah.
out.
If you
I
as
like
a
that.
listener has not noticed yet, you have to go back
Yeah.
to it because
Go
I don't know.
back,
I
listen to
forgot
all
what
the
episode
shows,
you
get the
started
end
doing
bits.
in it. Yeah.
It's not every
yeah.
episode.
But
and
after
it's
the
no,
legal
so
disclaimer, there's a
don't
little
ignore
extra something.
typically.
Yeah.
I've tried to start doing
Recently.
it regularly. I think 1 or 2 since I started doing it don't have it because we just didn't say anything funny that week.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was a tough week.
So you're inviting us to regularly say something funny after we finish.
Not
Oh,
It has to
after.
be
don't do that.
naturally.
Because
Yeah.
I always
Yeah,
take those things
natural.
out from in the middle of the episode.
But
It's usually side chatter where I'm like, this really needs to come out because it's detaching,
Tumble Through.
distracting. That's another thing we'll talk about eventually. But
You've gone past your 3 a lot of tumble throughs.
that also shows that you, at least from my perspective, are having fun doing this. You have fun running this, and everyone here at this table is just having fun being here. And that's such an essential element of making this.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
I think we're making. It feels like we're making a good story. It feels like a good story with good
Yeah.
development and an uncertain future, which is part of the mystery.
And at the same time, there's still enough things that feel like we're just having banter at a table, actually. Like there's still the moments that we laugh about something, that we briefly discuss a rule on something. There's still that TTRPG element in there. And I think that's a great blend. And I think we should all be proud of that.
Well, I'm proud that our show is encouraging some of our online friends to be interested in Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Play a good D20 system, I've said.
Now, I did say I have one final question then left for you. I want to end on something fun. We were talking about having fun, and I want to have a little fun exercise for all of you before we go out for today. We slink back into the West Crawny shadows. If you, for your character, and Krifa, you just pick an NPC of your choice. If you could pick an actor, can also be a voice actor, to play your character in a movie about Twilight's Edge, who would you cast for your own character? I'm just gonna then go around. I'm just gonna go around the table then and start alphabetically with Ida. Do you have any? Who would play Sombra in a Twilight's Edge movie?
So, Sombra is a Kayal or fetchling, and visually is like gray, ashen skinned. Doesn't have irises, but has entire orange, yellow eyes. Has an undercut. So you wouldn't visually see too much of said person who was acting underneath it. So I'm thinking, who might already be comfortable drastically changing their how they present, and also is pretty kick-ass and has a nice kind of lower gravelly voice that when Sombra is bitter and gravelly, just a lot of the time fits in. And I had to go with a crowd favorite, a fellow Latina woman, Zoe Saldana.
Oh,
Excellent choice.
Yeah. Who you
Yes.
might know from
Amazing.
who you might know from Guardians of the Galaxy, who you might know from Avatar, who you might know
Yes.
from Emilia
Yep,
Perez.
yep. Amazing.
Excellent choice.
Already does stunts or looks good doing stunts. Fits a monk pretty perfect. Is easy on the eyes, and I think Sombra is very easy on the eyes as well, and has that like dark husky emotional range. I think that would really fit well.
I can totally see it.
Yeah, I
Looking
can
also
see it,
at the
especially with the
character
Gamora
art
thing.
for Sombra
Yeah.
With the
and
Gamora line, I can totally see it.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect choice. Okay, so we got Zoe Saldana for that part. Anna, who do you have in mind?
So I technically have two, but there's a reason for that, because one of them is not particularly a super fitting choice, but the identity matches the actor. The other one, the identity partly matches and is a better choice. So the first one is also a really obscure one, which I think only maybe people in the Netherlands know, and that is Raven van Dorst. It's so name Raven and then Vandorst, who is a musician, TV host, and actor. But they're a little bit too old, I think, for the role. And I've not seen them act much because they mostly do like a lot of music and like TV hosting. So I don't know how they would pull off their role, but
They're
their
old.
identity
They're
is.
2 years older than I am.
I say older, too old for the role. Lowen is 28. Like,
I feel so
no,
attacked.
I said too old for the role.
I was trying to remember where I know her from. She was a guest judge on Drag Race Holland.
They, by the way.
They, sorry.
Yeah.
But
No, yeah. But their identity match, but they're not like the perfect cast for that sense. But my other option, non-binary actor, Emma Darcy. I don't know if that's pronounced correctly. It's D and then like an apostrophe RC.
From Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I feel like just their facial expression in a certain like picture, like, you know, if looks could kill kind of vibe. I think they would do quite well, especially because Lowen would also be under like, you know, like a lot of makeup and stuff like that, so you don't really see the actor underneath.
Also non-binary. Casting
exactly.
non-binary for a non-binary role, yeah.
Exactly. That's why I picked two.
Cool.
Those would be my options. Because I do believe that when it comes to non-binary and trans roles, they should at least be fulfilled by people of the identity, if possible.
Right.
So yeah.
Excellent choices. Krifu, which NPC did you pick? And who's going to play them?
I think this choice works just because of how little this NPC has been shown. I chose the head librarian of Archon's anthology, head librarian Ty, who would be played by Michael Caine.
Oh, I can totally see that. Oh, yeah.
Because Michael Caine would be way too expensive to have as a regular character. So just someone who appears once or twice a season, it makes a lot more sense.
Excellent choice, Michael Caine. So we're getting a really star-studded cast here.
It also was because of that Cockney accent
Right.
that we've tried to give the kobolds. I know mine isn't
All
the
kobolds are
best.
like from somewhere in London. It's great.
Yeah, and his is sort of a more genteel version
Yeah.
of the accent, if you will.
It's giving me Alfred Pennyworth, Batman Butler vibes.
Yes.
One more reason that Michael Caine fits. Michael Caine
played
did
that.
play it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Excellent. Evan, who did you cast for Nico?
Well, I've gone with a New Zealand actor, singer and songwriter. Jermaine Clement, I don't know if you know him from his
Oh.
role in What We Do in the Shadows,
Yes.
the original film.
Yes.
And the Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah, Flight of the Conchords. Flight of the Conchords was amazing. That's the kind of
Interesting. Okay.
yeah. For Nico, someone who's a little bit kind of laid back. More
Oh,
of the,
he was in Legion, I think.
he was in Legion as well,
Yeah, my phone.
but more of his Flight of the Conchords because he's basically like a Kiwi guy, flatting in New York. So that's just him.
And Fugo?
Oh my god, Fugo as well. Oh, jeez.
A shiitake.
Just like on strings, like
Oh
a
my
little.
god. The worst one as well.
We'll go with that. I put me on the spot. I forgot all about Fugo. No offense,
Wait,
Fugo.
should Fugo be CG or puppet?
Puppet.
Or just a guy
Puppet.
dressed like
Puppet,
Fugo?
puppet.
It would have to
Puppets.
be Dark Crystal
Yeah,
level.
okay, all right,
Yeah.
Dark
done,
Crystal,
done.
yeah,
Sold,
Dark
sold,
Crystal
sold.
puppet, absolutely, yeah. Who'd the voice be? They're Australian, aren't they?
As close as my accent can get.
Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth, great.
You know what? He would be down for
Yeah,
that role.
absolutely. Chris Hemsworth would voice a mushroom. Love it. Excellent choice. Pan, who do you have in mind for Flint?
So this depends. If we're going old school style, where you just have to have somebody dressed in like makeup, I'd probably want to go with maybe like John Boyega, but he doesn't have the voice. The voice would have to be it's either a Jason Statham or an Idris Elba.
Yes.
Nice, yeah.
So
yeah.
so it's just him flapping his mouth while Idris Elba and Jason Statham take turns doing the voice in the background.
Is it like Shadow in the Sonic movie franchise?
Yeah.
That's Idris
Does
Elba.
Idris
That's
Elba
Knuckles.
voice
Yeah,
Shadow?
that's
in
Knuckles,
movies?
Knuckles.
No,
Knuckles.
sorry, Knuckles. Excuse me,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
correct.
Knuckles.
Idris
So,
Elba
yes,
is in the
Elba-
Sonic movies?
He's Knuckles.
Idris
He's
Elba
Knuckles. He
is
loves
Knuckles.
it. He loves the song.
Yeah, he's a great Knuckles.
Yeah, he does a really good Knuckles.
Wow.
I think
Yeah,
it's-
okay, then he will be in our movie too.
Yeah, for sure. He loves doing voice work.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably because despite his character, Flint's he's not like particularly old. I don't remember how old Cobalt's age too, but he's late 20s, early 30s kind of thing. So that's one thing Boyega. Personality wise, a lot of what's that character called? Bloodsport from Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Just like, look, I'm here, I'm doing the job, but god damn, I'm so tired.
Amazing.
And that's Idris Elba there. But yeah, that's probably it. Statham, Elba, anybody British who talks with a growl.
I kind of want Fugo to be Idris Elba
Okay,
now.
I'll trade you. I'll trade you then. Absolutely. Fugo. Idris Elba.
Yeah.
You can pull a
One
group.
day I will have hands.
Yeah.
And what about
God.
Zakun? What
yeah,
what
yeah.
celebrity or person you
Yes.
fancy should take Zakun?
Are we allowed to time travel a little bit to get the actors at the slightly correct age for things?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
I'm,
for sure,
I think,
for
I think
Sure.
Zekun is like probably the oldest character in the group. He's like, I'm imagining like towards the tail end of his 40s, something like that.
Oh my god, so
So
old.
old, like who would? No one in this,
What's
no one
that
in this
like?
call would be
So,
even close
so
to
old,
that.
Anna.
And I'm kind of torn.
What?
I'm kind of torn between either a Jeff Bridges or an Ethan Hawke
Oh,
at that
yeah,
age.
yeah.
So what I do like
Oh,
about
yeah.
Jeff Bridges, I think Jeff Bridges could really like both do the I'm a big orc and have a little bit of that imposing stature as well. But Jeff Bridges could also get across the, how do I put this? The ingrained sadness that Zakun
Yep.
has. And
Yep,
Jeff
that's
Bridges
what I was
could
thinking.
do that. And if I could get Jeff Bridges at like towards
like,
the end of his 40s in
like
that
True
age.
Grit, Jeff Bridges.
Yes, a true
Yeah,
grit
yeah.
Jeff Bridges. Get that in there. I think
Yeah.
that would be a good cast for Zakun.
Jeff Bridges is literally the show called
Yeah.
The Old Man. That's how bad. It's called The Old Man. That's rude.
So, in case anyone in Hollywood is listening to this and wants to fund this project,
Yes.
we have a list of actors. Just give us the cash. We
Yep.
can
Yep.
forward you the payment details. And with that, with having put together our cast for the movie and having gone through so many interesting questions taken behind the shadows, we are coming to the end of our second society check. Before we leave, I first want to thank everyone for coming here. Thanks everyone for making it already to 29 episodes of this podcast.
Oh, that's epic.
And I hope that we do at least 600 more. And
At least.
Whoa.
At least.
at least,
Yes.
at least.
Cringe, scared? Krifu happy?
I'm just, if we keep the average 29 per book of the adventure, we should technically only have 174.
If you give us more time to
Only.
RP, we can turn it into 600.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, I can do that. Give me time. I
So-
can do
Oof,
that.
oof, oof, oof.
Before we head out, let's go one more time in alphabetical order around the table so that everyone here has a chance to briefly also tell us who they are again and plug the cool stuff they do. Keep in mind that you can already find in the episode descriptions links to wherever you can find all these amazing people. So you should definitely go check out their stuff, what they do, support it, because it's cool as fuck. Starting off with the A of Ida. Hi, Ida.
Hi everyone. Krifu, thanks for inviting me for this table. I have zero regrets and all the enthusiasm and happiness to keep going forward. So thank you so much. When I am not at the Tumble Through network, I am sometimes on the socials, but I am mostly at Euphoria AP, which is a TTRPG community dedicated to highlighting the diverse talent that exists in Europe, because the center of the TTRPG universe is not in the US. We are an award-winning AP studio. We highlight a lot of games, indie games that are not Dungeons and Dragons so far. And we have a large variety of games from all sorts of people who are amazing and based here in Europe. So come check us out. And we have a lot of friends here that also are playing with us at Euphoria.
Exactly. Anna.
Hi. I echo what Ida is saying. I also love it here. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, when I'm not in this podcast, I'm on different APs, usually the ones that are streamed on Twitch or on YouTube. You can find them on my socials. Mostly I'm present at Panzer's Tables, where I'm also in a long-term campaign. Other than that, I am a professional comic writer, and I also write TTRPG content. So if you want to see more of my work, you can once again find me on my socials.
Glad to have you here, Anna. Krifu.
Well, you can find me here doing this. I'm also on Blue Sky a lot and Instagram. Of course, those links are there. And occasionally get invited to do super cool stuff at Euphoria. Among other channels, we are a part of a community of European streamers and actual players. And so, honestly, all of us take turns guesting on our friends' channels and platforms. So find us on socials to stay apprised of all that.
Evan.
Oh, hi. I'm Evan, aka Moldy Nerd on all the socials. I'm about to start my summer stream season 25, where I'm going to be playing The Last of Us 2. I know. So, yeah, I'm ready for a good time, apparently. But yeah, I have my own Discord and I do TTRPG stuff. And when I have enough energy left over from my busy life and schedule, I sometimes run an AP. So keep an eye out, and looking for casts sometimes.
Very good. Pan.
Hey, thanks for listening, guys, and I'll echo the others as well. And thanks for inviting me to this table, guys. It's been great fun. I'm looking forward to the other 570 episodes we're going to be getting out there. Can't wait.
I will just perspire. No, not
Perspire?
expire.
I'll perspire. But yeah, you can find me on the socials as well. I'm on Blue Sky and Tumblr for my sins. I'm also on shows like, again, all the links will be out there, but I'm on Cosmopunk, Cybertopia, here, of course, and various others as well. And I would love it if you gave them a listen. I think I actually did put up a post a little while ago with a link to a show that Krifu did. It was Starfinder. It was Krifu, myself, and Ida were on it. And that was good fun to listen back to. That was a good laugh. I actually put one of those characters back because it was fun. So good times.
Amazing. Very glad to have you here. And
Yeah.
I'm Marcus. You can also find me on the socials, and you can also find me on my YouTube channel, The Chindividual, where I make videos about TTRPGs, and I have a lot of Pathfinder content on there. If you, for example, want to get a really big deep dive on the Abomination Vaults, that big adventure path, which is a amazing mega dungeon. I have a whole series on that there, and there's more stuff coming as well. And I'm also gonna echo the sentiments here. I'm so happy to be at this table with these players and to get to do this every week. It's really great. And this has also been amazing.
Tumble Through.
Tumble Through! Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in the vignettes
Tumble
and
Through.
season 2 of Twilight's Edge. Tumble through!
Tumble through.
Bye.
And goodbye.
Handsome Fugo.
And
Wait, so what did we actually roll for this society?
Can you roll something?
you want
This is things
Yeah,
we
yeah,
roll.
no,
I
roll.
don't have Foundry open.
I have dice. It's Pride Month when we're recording. I pansexual dice.
Roll that
Blue.
pansexual
Yeah.
dice.
All right, I'm gonna roll a
I
dice.
guess I'll
Oh
roll
god,
we
it.
have a
oh god.
bonus
Sound brothers have a
Wait,
good modifier.
Are we trained?
No, 16 flat.
16 flat.
I think I am
16's
trained, but I
great.
don't know.
Oh, what,
16's great.
17 flat.
Oh, 17's even better.
10 flat, but I think Lowen's trained and has a
no,
really
are
good
you
modifier
trained? Not
open.
Lowen.
No,
Are you trained?
no,
society?
no.
Oh, am I deciding? No. Oh, no, I'm autistic. I'm autistic. What do you think?
So you take the negative modifier. We love you
Well,
still.
I got 11, so I guess it's all up to you.
Tumble Through presents Twilight's Edge, a Pathfinder 2nd edition actual play of the Council of Thieves adventure path, converted from Pathfinder 1st edition. Tumble Through uses trademarks and or copyrights owned by Paizo Incorporated, used under Paizo's fan content policy, paizo.com/licenses/fan content. Tumble Through is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo. For more information about Paizo Incorporated and Paizo products, visit paizo.com.
This is Ida who edited this, and I forgot to save something funny for the post credits. So, here's the opening to the B movie. According to all known laws of aviation, there is no way that a bee should be able to fly. Its wings are too small to get its fat little body off the ground. The bee, of course, flies anyway, because bees don't care what humans think is impossible.